gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for February 28th, 2024 for the next hour or so. Let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, it's an honorary Dregsday with news about the about what the Hades dev isn't making and about the Helldivers 2 team not being acquired. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Tamoor Hussain, everybody. Tam, how are you doing?
I love it when we have reverse anti-news.
Anti-news, yes.
Like, this is news. This isn't happening. It's like, what the fuck?
Balance in all things. March, did I say the wrong date? March 6th.
Why is it? So it's voting day yesterday, right?
I think it was Super Tuesday in
Why
California
is it
and several other
called
states.
Super Tuesday?
Okay, Tam. So in America, in the primary process, like states like vote in waves. Early on, it's a handful of states, weirdos in New Hampshire and Iowa and their caucuses. Don't worry about all that stuff. Eventually, several states vote at once. And so it's like the first time where it's like, actually now more than 1 million people can vote instead of like the 10 people that live in that town in that one state. So it's Super Tuesday. But there's really nothing super about it.
Americans are so fucking... They live up to every stereotype possible.
And we're proud of it, which is another stereotype.
How do we brand this thing where everyone votes? If we call it Super Tuesday.
And it's absolutely like marketing by the news, because they're like, how do we get people interested in these early primaries? And unfortunately for them, nothing they can do can make me interested.
Everything in America is team sports. Every single thing is a team sports or like a sports event themed.
We can't understand it unless you couch it in those terms. That is 100% right. Quick note, we're going to GameSpot. If you're watching us on GameSpot, hello. This is giantbomb. Still, hello. We're just going to gleam over there as well. But Tam, I'm glad we can make this happen. This is a fun thing. I guess we should explain what this is. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. And if you are trying to watch this later, it'll be on the Giant Bomb YouTube feed. So please check us out there. That's what that means. Before we get into the news, though, Tam, catching up with you. How have you been? You last week it was like nonstop Final Fantasy stuff, and I knew you went back to play that, and you had a whole bunch of other games. It feels like we have finally found a small little lull between releases. At least I feel like it's the first breather we've had. And I know there's stuff coming, like we keep getting codes and stuff like that. But how are you finding this? Are you catching up on stuff? You going to go read a book or something?
I have been reading a book. I've been reading a book called Red Rising, which is interesting. Seems like it could be good. I'm like a couple of chapters in. I've been trying to read more this year.
Same.
I'm so bad, but my ADHD means that I really struggle to focus on things for long periods of time. So like books have been particularly difficult. I struggle reading line by line. You know what I mean? Like I start reading a line and then I'll be like on the other page looking at a random word and I'm like, how did I get
processing here? Yeah, my brain struggles to process even like sentences that people say to me. It's like it takes a second for it to click into place, and it will like half a sentence later, but it just takes an extra beat there, and that definitely is. It's happening with me more and more with reading books. I'm finding.
Yeah, but I'm trying to like focus in on it a bit more and train myself to read more and be in the kind of process and of reading it. But beyond that, in terms of playing games, like I had a period like for the last week or so where post Final Fantasy where I didn't have anything I really wanted to play immediately. I started Pacific Drive, which is really good. But also Pacific Drive, you need to be in a very specific kind of mood.
Yeah.
I enjoy it, but if you're not in that very specific kind of mood, it can be very frustrating and annoying. And I was really in the mood, and you can be in the mood and then very quickly be like, I'm out of the mood now. And it was like, I was driving around, I was having a nice time, whatever. And then one time, like I was like exploring, I turned around and I saw my car rolling backwards down a hill, and I was like, I'm no longer in the mood. Like paused it and exited. And that was purely because I forgot to put it back into like park before I left. And I was like, oh fuck.
I'm having a similar thing with that Expeditions game, which I love. It's a mud runner game, but I will be like, man, hell yeah, I just flipped my car over. I'm gonna go save it, and then sometimes I'll be like, oh, I just flipped my car over. And the next nearest thing, I ran out of things that will flip it over for me. So the next nearest vehicle is on the other side of the map. If I'm actually going to try to save this run, I'm going to have to do this. And it's like, nope, I'm just going to turn it off for now and come back later. And the good news is when I come back, I'm like usually ready to go for that. But you do have to be in the mood to redo all that stuff you did to fix the one mistake you made at the very end. That's definitely, it requires a certain sort of frame of mind before you can get in there.
I did start playing NBA 2K24.
Really? How are you finding it?
Yeah,
I playoffs are approaching, right? So you're like, you're
playoffs
getting in the mood
approaching.
For that?
Yeah, Warriors got absolutely thrashed by the Celtics recently, and like it was hilariously bad. But like, clearly it was like, we're not playing this game. We're just here to rest. But I haven't played a basketball game since. Simulation I haven't played in a really long time. The other day I fired up, I used means to somehow begin playing NBA Jam on the PlayStation 3.
Sure.
And I was like, you know what, I really still love this NBA Jam. The re-release was 2009 or something like that. I don't know which one it was. And I was like, you know what, I haven't played a proper sim basketball game in a really long time. So I fired that up, got it in, I bought it, downloaded it, fired it up, and I was like, oh, this is pretty fun. Like, I've been learning how to play it. It's very complicated. Like, there's a lot of moves and stuff. It's like, oh, you need to press this as you're running in from the left side, and then it's just like, okay. And if you want to do a pick and roll, you got to do this, and if you want to set a screen, and I was like, all right, I'll learn this. And yeah, I've been having a good time kind of like messing around with that. Mostly just been looking at the nice fun shapes and sounds and that kind of stuff and being like, I'm Steph Curry. I'm throwing a three from the middle of the court and it's the Warriors court at Chase Stadium. I'm loving this. This is great.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like I'm glad that all the depth is there, but mostly I'm there for the sights and the sounds. I'm like, oh, this looks, it feels how I want this to look and feel.
Yeah, exactly. It's been fun. Like I love the level of depth is in there. Like you can, not depth, but like presentation depth. Like you can go back to like, oh, this is the greatest Warriors team of all time. It's like Steph Curry, Wilt Chamberlain, and like a bunch of people who like will never have been on a team together. Yeah,
the 2K24, the 2K games have their version of like Ultimate Team. Do you mess around with that?
I have no intention of doing any of that stuff. Maybe I'll try it.
Yeah,
I don't want to interface with anything online. Like I just don't care about that stuff. I don't want to put microtransactions into it. I want to do the Mamba Moment stuff just because it seems really cool and. You know, it could be, but I feel like you need to be competent at playing the game before you try and relive Kobe Bryant's greatest moments or whatever. I'm not doing that yet.
I agree. Sports games for me are the offline stuff because that's what I grew up playing. I was like, I'll do a season. I'll go through all this other stuff. I don't need to go compete online. And that Mamba stuff. It's not, it's not up there with when Spike Lee produced the game and had that story mode in there, but that still seems pretty cool.
I would love, if I like it enough, I might go back and like relive, the ghost story of NBA days gone.
that would be fun. I would like to actually see that. That'd be cool to do. All right. You know what? We got a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut is coming to PC on May 16th. This just got confirmed right before we were going live. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, and this comes from the PlayStation blog. It is coming to PC. We at Nixies are thrilled to collaborate with the talented team at Sucker Punch Productions, who created this critically acclaimed open-world action adventure. We are excited to bring Jen's story to a new audience and to bring Sucker Punch titles to PC for the first time. The PC version of Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut includes the full game, the Iki Island expansion, and the cooperative online multiplayer Legends mode. For the past year, the team at Nixes, I think Nixes is how you actually say it, has been working hard to bring the Sucker Punch in-house engine technology to PC and implement PC features such as unlocked frame rates, a variety of graphic settings and presets, and customizable mouse and keyboard controls. It's going to support things like widescreen, ultra widescreen, all that other stuff. But it's coming May 16th. This is pretty cool, and they do kind of explain. This one took a little bit longer than some of the other ones. Oh, it's because they had like its in-house engine. It's what Sucker Punch does. It's bespoke, so it took a little extra time. I'm glad they took the extra time to figure it out. And it sounds like what they have here, they are doing right. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. Some of these ports are hit and miss, but based on like the feature set that they are supporting out of the gate here, with all the widescreen support and DLSS and DLAA, all that stuff, sounds like they have gotten it to a point where no, it's going to be just fine when it's out there. And I'm excited about this. I played a little bit of Ghost of Tsushima when it was out on PlayStation 4.
Oh, you haven't played all of it?
I have not played all of it. And
you're in for a good time.
And I'm like, exactly. I'm like, I am so in the mood for this game right now.
Yeah, Nixus are a good port studio, if I remember correctly. They're good at doing this stuff, so that's a good start. I think first of all, this game rules. Like, you're gonna have a great time. It's if you haven't played it, which presumably is why they're releasing it on PC, it's one of the better games in recent memory, I think, stealth wise, and also like generally atmosphere and design wise, especially. Like, there's some really clever stuff in there that you're like, oh, that's really, really interesting that they put this in there. The thing that is really exciting to me is it includes the Legends mode. The Legends mode was something that came out. It's a multiplayer mode that came out a little bit after the game released, but it wasn't when people were super into the idea of playing them. So it got like some love, but it didn't get the love that it deserved for how good it was. It was like unexpectedly good. Like, people were like, anyone who was playing it was like, are you playing this? This is like weirdly good. How are they?
I heard a lot of those rumblings at the time, but you're right. It was like not from everywhere, because I think most people had like played Ghost of Tsushima and they were moving on, and it was it would take a lot to get them back into it. And this was a lot, but I think there's plenty of other things to play. And so I've always been like, all right, when this comes to PC, I'll play it, and I'm going to try to get a bunch of people in. We'll play this Legends mode. This sounds great to me.
Yeah. So like, if you haven't played this game, you're in for a treat, and like, breathing new life into that Legends mode is going to be really, really cool. I'm excited to see that, especially if it like gets a boost through like streaming and that kind of stuff. I'm sure like we can team up, and like I'm sure the Giant Bomb crew is going to be like, let's do Legends mode. That'll be fun. The other thing that's exciting is the phrasing where they say, we've been working hard to bring the Sucker Punch in-house engine technology to PC.
Yep.
So they said, we have been spending a lot of time figuring out how to make this engine work on PC. Chances are, given how much is invested in the engine already, whatever Sucker Punch is doing next will, to some degree, be using the same engine. Which means once time comes, there's a good chance that whatever the next project is will end up on PC a little quicker. Which is exciting too. So this is just another indication that Sony is building for a future on PC, as opposed to just trying to like, make the most of the now, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, like, is there a world you think where we could get like an Infamous collection or something on PC and released on PS5 as well?
I want to say yes, because I really love the Infamous games. I don't think so. I feel like the reason that is because the games that they are putting on PC right now are games that are in a zeitgeist and current and known and in front of like the cultural mindset. I love the Sly games. I love the Infamous games, especially. Infamous was like one of my favorite games of that era. People just don't really know about it. Like, PC gamers don't give a shit about it. PC gamers don't have envy for Infamous, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And we've seen like some of these Sony franchises make the leap over and then kind of just get lost in the shuffle. And those games seems like it's possible that could happen there. I would want it. I agree. I want you to say yes too, Tam. I want to say yes. I want these things to happen. Sly Cooper especially. But I think you're probably right that their focus is on what can we do that's going to facilitate what we do next. And obviously what we're seeing here with Ghost of Tsushima is Sucker Punch is clearly making a sequel. This will set up that to be even more successful. So it's hard to like make that argument for some of the past franchises.
Yeah. I mean, Infamous is still like really fun to play. But yeah, I feel like it doesn't have the clout right now.
Some other things here. They are, like I mentioned, they're going to have support for NVIDIA DLSS 3, AMD FSR 3, Intel ZSS, all these things that make the image look really good and run at a really high frame rate. They are also promising full integration with Steam Input to remap controls, so you could use whatever controller you want. But they also promise that it'll work with the DualSense and have the full haptic experience with that as well as supporting the adaptive triggers, which I know you're excited about, Tam.
Oh, God. You know what I love on controllers? Features that make it cripplingly painful to play. One day we're going to go back and really dissect the DualSense, and I genuinely think it's one of the worst controllers created of all time. And it never was that to begin with. To begin with, I was like, oh, this is fine. And that controller has done things to my hands that decades of video gaming has not been able to do. I am a broken man after that. It is wild. And I know people love that controller, and I was ambivalent. I was like, yeah, I don't really care where the sticks are. I'll just play it. But 2 years into the life cycle of that PlayStation 5, I was like, I can no longer hold this controller without searing pain. And I pick up the Elite 2, and I'm like, this feels like I'm in bed. And then I moved. I got a Vitrix Pro BFG, which is for the PlayStation 5, and I was like, I'm playing my PlayStation 5 now, and it is not hurting anymore. So it's this one specific controller that when I use it, it's just I don't understand.
I think the DualSense is just I'm mostly okay with it. It has hurt me in the past, but it does seem like the kind of thing where it's designed by engineers. What can we throw in here? And not necessarily designed by designers or ergonomic specialists or anything like that. Yeah. And you're definitely not the only one who has been hurt in some way by that controller.
Yeah. It's annoying because I really like the Edge. The DualSense Edge is one of my favorite controllers with the back paddles in it. And every now and then I do still use it because I'm just I want to make it easier for me to play this game. But man, after that I get punished.
You can wishlist this game now, pre-purchase it. The Director's Cut is going to be available on Steam and Epic Game Store, actually. If you pre-purchase the game, you'll get access to the following early in-game unlocks when it releases on the 16th of May. That includes New Game Plus Horse, which is it's not New Game Space Plus Space Horse. It's New Game Plus Horse. I'm actually not sure what that means.
It's New Game Plus Horse Travel Companion.
Okay, so it's a
on
new
Steam,
horse.
It says.
Okay.
No, I hope it is that when you start New Game Plus, there's just a random horse following you everywhere.
A really annoying horse. Every time you turn around, it's there, kind of staring at you.
Hiding in that bush, huh? It's oh, shut up, horse companion. God damn it.
You also get Traveler's Attire, broken armor dies from Baku's shop. Yeah, but you're going to get a bunch of extras, all that stuff. I'm sure once I play this, a lot of this will make sense in context. They did get a quote here from Brian Fleming, the co-founder of Sucker Punch. We're proud to announce that our friends and partners over at Nixxes are bringing Ghost of Tsushima to PC. This is a first for Sucker Punch. All our previous work is console exclusive, so we are excited about all this, and Nixxes was the right team to do this project. With them on board, we knew the results would be nothing short of amazing. Now, excuse me as I go order a super ultra wide monitor. That game's gonna look very good on ultra wide displays because when I think of Ghost of Tsushima, I do think of those panoramic visuals and vistas. It is a game that when I first started, I'm like, this looks like it's in the vein of an Assassin's Creed, and then you get to some of these open plains or some of the parts where it's they have the blooming flowers everywhere, and it's oh, this is seriously a beautiful game. So
beautiful game,
yeah, I'm excited about it. All right, Supergiant is only working on Hades projects currently. This is from Ben Lyons at Game Reactor. It's getting close to
Ben Linus.
Ben Lyons. No, no vault door and all that. It's getting close to 18 months since Supergiant Games announced Hades 2 at the Game Awards in 2022. Since that time, the title has been delayed out of 2023 entirely, and now we're eyeing up an arrival as an early access project in the second quarter of this year. So that means quite soon. But with all this time dedicated to working on the Hades sequel, has Supergiant found any opportunity to begin working on other projects as well? The simple answer to that question is no. Supergiant is currently solely focused on Hades projects, and this includes bringing Hades to Netflix on March 19th. and of course the upcoming Hades 2. Creative director Greg Kasavin spoke about this major focus on the Hades series during a roundtable interview. Basically, he says, we're a small team. We're working on one big new game at a time. And they always have done it that way. And they don't tend to work on something more. And Hades for Netflix and Hades 2 have been the big projects taking up all their time for getting those shipped. Building on that, if you're going, wait, Hades to Netflix, what is that? As a reminder, that is the first Hades game coming to the Netflix gaming platform on mobile, so you could play that on your Androids and your iPhones and all that stuff. And they're getting that up and running. And they're like, that is taking a lot of our attention as well. But
you might be asking why, and I can only say it's because I hope it's because Netflix came to them and were like, "We have a big bag of money. Will you do this?" And they went, "Yes, we will."
Yes,
do this.
I think that's exactly how it went down. That is coming in 2
and
weeks.
I could not
March
be
19th.
more happier for them. Like, if they're getting a big bag of money for this thing, they're like, "It's not for us, but whatever."
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, I have a Netflix subscription, so I do have access to these games. I get people who are like, you can't get these games without a Netflix subscription. I don't want to get that. So how am I supposed to play this? Do I have to just go subscribe to Netflix? And for Netflix, they're like, yes, that's what we want. You should be thinking that way. But it's frustrating because in typically on other consoles and on PC, if something's in a subscription service, that's nice, but you could still go buy the game if you want. Here on mobile, when Netflix does this is the only way to get those games. Like Into the Breach is one that I have through Netflix, and I have my subscription, so I always have it. But I would have just bought that game just to have it on mobile constantly because I love it so much, and it's a little frustrating that you can't do that. But yeah, this is Hades hitting Netflix in 2 weeks on March 19th, so that'll be happening soon. And they basically said that they've been taking their time on that as well because they want to make sure it is an uncompromised version of Hades on mobile. And I'm at a point where I played some Dead Cells on mobile, and that worked really well. These games can work, even if it's not, like you said, it's not for me necessarily. I'll just go play Hades on a controller like an adult. But hey, if this opens it up to new people, that's great as well.
Yeah. Have you seen just Netflix gaming has reminded me about the Ubisoft Netflix show. What is it called again? The really annoying. They launched a version of Rainbow Six on Netflix. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I downloaded that actually because I was so curious. It's like Rainbow Kids, Rainbow Six Kids,
Rainbow Six Small. But SMOL, and it is just the most twee
Rainbow
thing
Six Muppet
ever.
Babies. Yeah,
it is. If you go to I went to the website, and it's like one of the bullet points is destroy all the things, as if someone on Twitter wrote it, and I was just like,
what is a Doge? Oh
yeah, it's like, oh my god,
the humor is from 12 years ago. Yeah,
I want to play it, but also I'm just like, I hate every word.
It surprised me because I was getting on Netflix for whatever reason on my phone the other day, and then I saw that and I was like, what? I've never heard of this. What is it? So I have not played it yet, but I did download it and install it on my phone. And yeah, I mean, it's what you described. Like, it is like the baby-fied version of Rainbow Six, but with internet humor. And if that sounds like a nightmare, it probably is going to be a nightmare. But I want to see it for myself. That had to be another situation where maybe Ubisoft was like, we have this thing and we were gonna make it, and like Netflix is outside and they're asking if we have any. Oh my god, I just set my desk to start rising up. It was just gonna keep doing it and knock my camera over, and I was like, stop. Like, Netflix is here. We gotta just. They want something and they want to give us money. I was like, give them that weird Rainbow Six game that we were just gonna cancel.
Who is this for? That's what I want to know. Is it for children who they're trying to make get into the idea of tactical?
Hook them while they're young.
Yeah, tactical soldier shit, or is it for Rainbow Six fans who are like, I love cute stuff?
Yeah, listen, it takes all kinds. So I'm sure there are Rainbow Six fans out there and Tom Clancy fans that are like, I like cute stuff, but I have a hard time imagining them. I do think they were like, yeah, we got to get kids hooked on Sam Fisher now. So that when they're older,
so that we will never, ever, ever make a game with him coming out again.
Right, they're worried about not having a new generation to disappoint without having a new Splinter Cell.
Exactly. They're like, we announced that remake, but it's never coming out.
Of course. And we want to string you along, but we know that you are getting savvy to that, so we need some kids that we could sucker into this going forward. last point here, while we're talking about Hades on Netflix and all this stuff, does get you thinking. Hades, that make a pretty good show or
Stay
TV
away from
series.
it, Netflix. Please,
Well,
just
good news. That's not going to happen. At least they're not happening anytime soon. Well, they are not working on one at the moment. Just because people are interested in the idea of a Hades show or film doesn't mean that Supergiant has any intention to explore that avenue right now. Speaking at a roundtable, creative director Greg Kasavin specifically addressed this question and shot it down.
Let's go, Greg. Let's go.
It's a fun question. I mean, we love making video games. Games is right in the name of Supergiant Games, and that was very deliberate. We're not Supergiant Entertainment or something like that. We made a very deliberate choice. We tell the kind of stories that we think are suitable for games in particular, and we do put a lot into the worlds of our games and the characters, and we're always really, really happy to see them resonate. We draw tons of inspiration from film and animation, always have. Myself, as the writer of our games, animation is very formative to me, stories I grew up with. It's one of those things we certainly give some thought to from time to time, but we've always given it some thought over the past 15 years, and that doesn't necessarily mean that the right opportunity has presented itself. It's one of those things that's interesting to see, certainly just as fans of the game, and as fans of other media, it's been gratifying to see successful adaptations of games from things like the Super Mario Brothers movie to The Last of Us and Dota, Dragon's Blood, and Arcane, and stuff like that. So it's great to see this type of thing happening, though, but what that means for us is still way too early to say.
That statement is so good, it makes me horny.
Yeah.
Like, that is
the sexiest man in the game.
Is the GOAT. Like, he's like, yeah, man, we like making games. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? You know why you can trust Greg and why you should believe in Greg? Because Greg was former managing editor of GameSpot, and not only the best people become.
That's right. Yeah, that's a true GOAT lineage there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that he is right to have this focus. We've seen, there have been some adaptations. I think that Cuphead show is a lot of fun. But Hades is something that's like, man, that story and those characters kind of are precious, and they work so well in that game because they were treated with such respect.
Yeah.
It's hoping for the best in an adaptation seems like, hey, that's risky.
It's just so refreshing to see people make something incredible and beloved and then immediately go, no, we're okay with what this is. Yep. We like what this is. We think that people who want to enjoy this or have taken an interest in it need to or should enjoy it with the context of the entire thing we made. We're not trying to remove this thing and devalue the game part of it by saying this can exist without that entirely. I'm not saying that's what everyone does, but what I'm saying is like they clearly have a real like love and importance held on the entire Hades experience. They're not being like, oh, we can take this bit that everyone loves and chuck the rest of it away and adapt it to something else. So to see a company be like, this would bang, we're not going to do it because we care about what it is. We like how it is. And also, I love the fact that it's clear that they have control over that IP.
Yeah,
like absolutely. They're like, no, we don't want to do this. Like, oh man, it's just really nice to hear that every now and then and know that there's people out there who aren't going to be like, Netflix has got $1 million for us. Let's just do it.
Right. Like, Amazon for a while there was showing up at every game studio's door and be like, hey, do you got anything for us? And would they like, and I'm sure stuff like that has happened for Supergiant Games, especially with a property like Hades. Them being like the right opportunity has not presented itself. I think it's a good sign because it implies they know what the right opportunity looks like. They know what it's going to look like when it's going to make sense, and they're nowhere near that right now because the right team hasn't come along or they're busy making other stuff. Like, you imagine like if the team that made Arcane came along and said, hey, we'd love to make some of the Hades. I bet they were like, maybe that could make sense. Yeah. But they're busy. And there's only so many creative endeavors out there like that would be able to respect Hades in the way it deserves.
Yeah. Make a Pyre show instead. Pyre deserves more love.
That's the right move. Arrowhead says Helldivers. Oh no, with this, Helldivers 2 Studio CEO says
it'll be
it's
cool.
Not being,
Grubb, it would be really cool if I could see this document.
Listen, you're so neat.
It'll be so cool. I would love that.
You're so actually. If you just type in, well, no, you don't do Wednesdays normally, so you're not going to get that. There we go. There you go. All right.
You did this last time as well.
Bad habits, Helldiver 2 Studio CEO says it's not being acquired by PlayStation. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. Helldivers 2 developer Arrowhead Game Studio is not being acquired by Sony, according to its executives. Speculation has been spreading throughout social media following the huge success of the online co-op shooter, which is PlayStation's biggest PC launch to date. After Twitter user NextGenPlayer posted a mocked-up image of the PlayStation Studios logo and the Arrowhead logo with the message, "Welcome to the family," Arrowhead CEO John Pilstedt replied saying that the image and the news were untrue. Oh, weird. A weirdo on Twitter really cool. Made some shit up.
I think it would be really funny if someone introduced a law where if you did that and you got caught, you'd go to jail.
You go to jail. You delete your account.
No, you go to jail for a day. That's it. Just to be like,
I think like the stockade, the thing where you got to go in the town square and have your head stick out of the wood. Yeah. That's what we need to bring it back for NextGenPlayer. I think specifically. Basically, the CEO said, "This is a fake unless I've missed something. Also, a really shitty old logo from 2008 or so when we just started the studio." And he also replied to someone else saying, who claimed, "They say you sold out to Sony." He's like, "In that case, this would be the first I hear about it. We are not owned. We are independently owned. I mean, we are owned, but only by the founders, including me, of the studio.
We are getting owned by our server troubles." Is what was
and by NextGenPlayer, apparently. This, of course, this is how this sort of news story happens, where it's like, there's nothing here, but people start fantasy booking in their head, and then the CEO's got to be like, what the hell are you talking about? That's dumb.
If you're watching this now and you have your phone, everyone take out your phone, go to Twitter. If you're still using it, go to NextGenPlayer's account and just block it. Block it now.
That's a good move.
No, maybe like tweet. Everyone do this. Tweet at NextGenPlayer. Grow up. Then blog. Do that for me. If you're watching this now, listening to it, go to Twitter, find NextGenPlayer, at NextGenPlayer, tweet, grow up, and then block.
I fully endorse this, everybody.
And then send me a screenshot of it. Send me a screenshot of it.
Someone in
this is my new thing. I'm gonna find people who are doing this shit and lead a campaign to get them blocked.
I believe that I have already blocked NextGenPlayer from previous interactions with this expert Twitter user. All right, and then Arrowhead says Helldivers 2's mechs are deploying soon. This is from Tom Ivan at VGC. Arrowhead Game Studio has teased plans to introduce mechs in Helldivers 2 in the near future. Mechs were said to be coming soon after launch in a pre-release trailer for the game, but plans to add new content were held up while its developer worked to address these server issues that we've mentioned before this. With those now seemingly resolved, players shouldn't have to wait long. The quote here is, "The XO-45 Patriot exosuits are in full production in factories of Tianquan," reads a message on the game's Twitter account, "ready for deployment on the battlefield soon." Mechs, of course, were a major part of Helldivers 1. The expectation was always that they would be in this game. I think it was clever of them to do it this way of, get in there, play the game, and then we'll bring the cool mechs in later because, what's up? You made a big surprise face.
Sorry, NextGenPlayer has 100,000 followers.
Yeah, right. If you're a grifter on the internet, that you can get a lot of followers.
Oh my god, that is unbelievable. Yeah, you know what, Jeff
They're
Grubb,
part of that cloud of fanboyism. I'm
going to tell you something that I've never told anyone else before. I have access to community notes, so I can get in there and make community notes and vote. I'm about to own this motherfucker.
Made my day, Tam. You made my day. That's incredible. Let's fucking go. I want some mechs in Helldivers 2. I'm after finishing Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, I'm like, whenever I have some extra time, I'm going to be in Helldivers 2. And I think mechs showing up will be a good reason to get us back at Giant Bomb back in there as well and do some more streams of that. I'm looking forward to that. All right. Man, the hour has flown by. We're at 37 minutes in already. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we have some more headlines, including some footage of that canceled Timesplitters game. Back right after this. All right, we're back into it, and we have 5 minutes of canceled Timesplitters game footage shared online. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. This originally was confusing to me, Tam, because there was also a leaked PS3 dev kit of an older build of a much older Time Splitter game from way back in the day that people found, and I'm like, oh, they're trying to get that up and running, and we already got footage of that. And it's like, no, this is from the recent Time Splitters game that was canceled by Embracer, from the new Free Radical that they started up and then shut down over the last couple of years. This is notable because the 5 minutes of footage shows exactly what the game they were trying to make was. And Tam, if you had to guess, if a company like Embracer was trying to make a first-person shooter, what do you think? Or not even a first-person shooter. They were trying to make a new shooter online multiplayer game. What do you think they would take inspiration from?
In 2024, in the year of our Lord and Savior Hidetaka Miyazaki, I would imagine it is Fortnite.
Fortnite! They were making a Fortnite. And look, I'm not... Okay, let's start out by saying this team has done this before. The people that are responsible for Time Splitters were like, in order to get the game green lighted, they would say they're making something and then they can make their own thing. But the footage here is just straight up Fortnite. Like the when you kill an enemy, all the green loot like pops out of them in the exact same way it does in Fortnite. Now some of the levels like are very reminiscent of the Time Splitters games, but overall the gameplay, it's including being in third person over the shoulder, it looks straight up like Fortnite. And I get that to a certain extent, except for Fortnite already exists. You're not going to replace it.
Yeah, you're not. I mean, like, here's the thing, right? I fully imagine there's a scenario where they are like, to get this made, we need to make it look like
that's
Fortnite.
Almost certainly how they got a green light.
They were like, oh, you know what Timesplitters is? It's the original Fortnite, and then that is probably how it got made. Yep. Or got to where it is. That's not necessarily like. Here's the thing: we have got a look at a very limited, very small amount of this game. There could be so much more to this game, or there could have been so much more to this game than we didn't see. And beyond it looking like Fortnite, it could have been a fantastic remake or like a new entry in the thing.
They had a lot of development left.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people just be like, I'm glad this is gone. It looks just like Fortnite. And I'm like, you cannot be that stupid. How is that? What's going on? Like,
listen, I don't want it to be Fortnite either. No. But, like, that, first of all, that's not how development works. Yeah, right now, when they are getting it up and running, they do stuff like Fortnite. And for one, because that's what is paying the bills. Is they said they would make a game like that. But then, you know, you keep what works and you get rid of what doesn't. And then you start adding all the stuff that's going to separate your game. And clearly, they just weren't at that phase yet. Now, you know, if you look at this, you're like, I don't want this. I completely understand that. But I am always of the opinion that the developers are way more creative than you're giving them credit for. If you're going to be like, well, I'm glad this didn't come out. We don't need to be that way. That's silly.
Yeah. I agree. I'm just getting loads of messages of people blocking Next Gen Player, and I'm just having a fantastic time here. I also put a community note on his thing telling him to grow up. So
if I go on Twitter today and I see grow up under one of his tweets, Tam, I'm going to cry from happiness. I'm going to be so ecstatic. You're doing good work over there, man. Seriously. Thank you so much. The end result here is Time Splitters, this game canceled, Free Radical shut down. Embracer is a nightmare factory that produces no real great things, except for the occasional developer here or there who's able to squeak something out, seemingly unbeknownst to the people in Embracer. Like Dead Island 2. It's like, that was a pretty game.
Every day I pray for the demise of Embracer. Like literally in the morning, I'm like, please God, kill this motherfucking corporation and free Legacy of Kain and the other IPs that are trapped. Have you seen the CEO of Embracer? He did that thing. It's like, you know, sometimes you have to have some layoffs. People got to go through layoffs. I'm like, bitch, you get laid off then.
Yeah, sometimes you need to shut the fuck up, Lars Winger first.
He looks like he deserves to be bullied. I would. Yes, he needed to be bullied more. And oh my God, I would love to bully that dude so badly.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm not seeing these. I did not watch this far. where it's like showing the UI. It's like, holy hell, that is so Fortnite. That's crazy. Oh man, it's a shit. We live in a world where we don't deserve a new Timesplitters, and I've just accepted that. That's fine. Yeah. Whatever. Capcom is increasing its starting salary in Japan by more than 25%. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. Capcom has announced that it will be increasing its starting salary in Japan by more than 25%. At the moment, the existing pay for new graduate hires is 235,000 Japanese yen. It's around $1,560. I imagine that is per month. But beginning in its 2025, maybe per week? Either way, beginning its fiscal 2025, the company will change this to 300,000 yen per month. Okay, yeah, per month. I said per month already. With this increase in starting salary, Capcom is pursuing further investment in human capital and the acquisition of exceptional talent. So that's about $2,000 per month. And it's always important to put this in perspective. The cost of living in Japan is much, much lower. So if you hear that, you're like, hey, I make more than that, and I don't make games nearly as good. I don't make games, period, let alone... The things I make aren't as good as fucking Dragon's Dogma 2 looks. No. They are in a country where it's a lot more affordable to like buy a home and a car and stuff like that.
Yeah, and also there's like work culture stuff where it's like you join a company, you're in that company basically for life. Like you commit to that company. It's only recently,
and they've like set up like salary progression and stuff that like happens over time because of that. Yeah.
So like these people who are like joining Capcom are probably going to be at Capcom for life.
Yep, and the good news for them is for that, as well as existing salaries for people that are already at Capcom. So this is, that big increase was for people leaving college coming to join Capcom. For people that have already been there, they are increasing the salaries by 5%. This is on top of an increase they did a couple of years ago that was increased it by 30%. So they're trying to keep the talent at Capcom around, and you know why they're doing that? Because it's worked. Having the same like core people working on these games for so long, like there was that small little period there in the 2010s where it was like, oh man, Japanese developers are like struggling to figure some of the stuff out, and it's like, well, they figured it out, and now they are making the best games. And so why would you ever risk them leaving to go somewhere else or to go start their own thing? Keep them happy, keep them around, because it is paying dividends, and every new game that Capcom makes is seemingly selling better than the one before. So you want to keep that trajectory going, and the only way to do that is by keeping these crews together. So this is, I think, really good news, and it shows that the strength of a company like Capcom is its people.
Yeah, it is. Like they need to. I thought one part of like turning the company around to a degree is having made the good games is now presenting the company as a good place to work long term. That is one important part of kind of improving the kind of fortunes and the outlook of a game developer is not just make the good games, but make sure the people that are making the good games feel like they can continue to work there and make good games. And it's something that we fail on quite significantly outside of Japan and even in Japan, where it's like the people that, what we've seen recently is the people that make the good games also are very, very, very susceptible to being laid off. Like we had people at Sony, people at Insomniac, Naughty Dog get laid off, and their companies, developers that have made some of the best games of the last few years. That is like troubling for a lot of people. This is like a move. If I was like a developer in Japan and looking at where should I go, and I've just seen Capcom put out banger after banger, getting everyone, new previews are out, and people are like, Dragon's Dogma might be an all-time great game. And then I see like, oh, they just increased wages. That is a company I'm being like, I'm gonna try and go there. That seems like safe. It seems good. They're making good games. Their way is,
Yep, the one publisher that figured out how to reliably use their own engine, and it seems like it's a joy to work with. And so it's like you're not going to go in there and it's going to be like some headache. And that learning that technology is going to pay off in the future because they're going to keep using that engine or its successor in the future. So yeah, it is.
You know what I want them to do? I want them to celebrate this by introducing a new skin to Street Fighter, which is 25% pay rise Ryu. And the only thing that changes is he now wears shoes.
How dare you? How dare you put shoes on the boy?
That's it. He's like, I got 25% pay rise, bought some shoes. Let's go, boys.
Went out and I bought some Air Jordans. After 8 months of silence, the MultiVersus X or Twitter account, is teasing an announcement. This is from Tom Ivan at VGC. The official Twitter account for MultiVersus is teasing something. They posted Taps Mic testing 1 2 3, and that published on Twitter yesterday. It's the account's first update since last June, when the game's open beta ended and it went on hiatus ahead of a planned release in 2024. As a reminder for this is a game that came out in like quote unquote early access, but you could straight up buy it and buy DLC characters and all this wild stuff. And then they're like, psych, this was just a test. It's going to go away for a very long time. And then they got quiet, and now they are planning to reintroduce it. And, that sounds weird because it was. This game debuted, it had like something like 124 to 125,000 concurrent players, maybe even, more than 150,000 concurrent players. It eventually dropped down to fewer than 1,000 concurrent players, like at peak per day. So it's like, it seems like they're like, well, it had a good start, but now no one's playing it. And if we don't like do something that's going to die, so let's just pull it back and reintroduce it. Tam, do you think this game stands a chance?
Not really, no.
It's hard to see how it would.
I take no pleasure in saying that.
Yeah, I enjoyed playing it.
It's a fun game. It had LeBron James in it for some reason.
WB owned LeBron James.
Yeah, it is like, I hope it does well. I hope it succeeds. I'm just worried about it. Like, I forgot it existed, and I'm a guy who pays attention to fighting games and this kind of game. And the fact that it's like coming out of early access now or whatever, very strange to me. Like, I don't really get it.
Yeah, it's strange. Yeah, I wonder if it could just like find some like safe zone where it's like, maybe it has more than 1,000 concurrent players, but it doesn't need to have over 100,000 at any point to be considered a success. If it's like, no, we got around 5 to 10,000 people playing this thing per day, you would hope that is something that they could make financially reasonable, and occasionally it pops off because they put in a new character that people are really excited about. I think, that's clearly how things work for Smash Brothers, where people got really excited every time a new character would get announced. And, Smash Brothers is in a whole other universe than what MultiVersus was ever in. But I also wonder, like, what WB characters could really get people that excited. I really don't know.
I think, like, they're in a good place to succeed if their expectations aren't crazy high, because, like, they have so many of these shows that these characters are actively in shows right now, where it's like you put an advert for MultiVersus before the latest episode of, I don't know, whatever the latest Bugs Bunny or whatever it is, and that's a solid way to like maintain awareness around it. If the expectation is we're going to do Fortnite numbers, you're doomed to fail. Like if the expectation is, like you said, we've got between like 2 and 5K concurrent players, and that's good enough for us, fantastic. Like, I think they can totally pull it off and be healthy for a while.
Yeah, and the comparison here would really be Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, which it was a paid game, a premium game. This is a free-to-play game, and they already did Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 2, and that game seems like it's doing just fine. And there's no this hand rigging that it happens over at WB. It's like, but it's not a live service game that's making all of the money in the world. It's you guys just don't get it. You don't realize that can't work for everything, and they keep. We talked about it on the Bombcast yesterday. The executive basically saying that's the goal. Even though we had the best-selling game last year in Harry Potter, the goal is to have more live service stuff that's just going to take off. And if they think that's going to happen for MultiVersus, or really just about anything that they produce, even a Harry Potter game, I think they're going to be in for a rude awakening. All right, let's get through these last handful of headlines here. Street Fighter V arcade cabinets are about to be useless. This is from George Yang at GameSpot. Capcom announced that Street Fighter V Type Arcade in Japan will shut down on April 1st. Players will not have access to any components of the game, including in its offline modes. In a press release, Capcom thanked those who have played the arcade cabinet since its release. While the announcement arrived on short notice, Capcom hopes that players will continue to enjoy playing games on the cabinet until they shut down. After the arcade cabinets go offline, game data such as stats and titles will no longer be available to view, obviously. But the real weird thing here is you just won't be able to play the game unless Capcom does some update that they haven't announced yet to make it playable offline, which, as it stands right now, it's not. This sucks and is weird, Tam. I really dislike this.
I don't understand this. Capcom, what are you doing? You were doing so well. You raised the wages of people, now you're doing this? I hope they figure it out. I mean, it also could be a fact of like, those arcade cabinets are in arcades in Japan, which are a dying breed daily. And it must be becoming more and more expensive to maintain those cabinets in a economy where there's less people at arcades and those arcades are going away. But I'm not trying to make excuses for these. Right. I would hope that they would go in there and be like, we ripped them out and we put like Street Fighter 6 stuff in there now.
Right. That is Sean's saying that, and that's probably what is almost certainly going to happen here. This is more about like, if I'm a collector or if I'm someone who wants to have a Street Fighter 5 arcade machine for posterity in my home and have it playable, that seems like that should be a possibility. And as it stands, it's not. It's weird. It sucks. The game, of course, if you did want to play Street Fighter 5 for some reason, and I do believe Sean, when he says no one wants to, I don't think anyone is actually seeking that game out right now. But if you wanted to, it does still work on PC and PlayStation. That includes all the different versions of it, including the arcade version of the retail release. Dragon's Dogma 2 feels like a gorgeous makeover of the series' core value. This is core values. This is from Kurt Indovina. He did a preview that I read, but mostly just got me pretty excited about this game. People seem into it, and I think Dragon's Dogma 2 is going to pop off in a major way when it releases here in a couple of weeks.
I hope so. I mean, that first game was fantastic and didn't get the love that it deserved when it was out there. So I'm hoping the second one can really, really make good and like realize the years and years of good word of mouth that it has had to like pop off.
Yep, and that preview is up both on GameSpot and on YouTube. If you want to watch the video version of it, go check that out right now. S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Legends of the Zone Trilogy for PS4 had its pre-orders go live in Japan out of nowhere. This is from Sal Romano at Verkamatsu. Pre-orders for the unannounced S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Legends of the Zone Trilogy for PlayStation 4 have gone up at Japanese retailers. It will launch June 27th, in Japan. The timing of this makes it sound like this is going to get announced at that Xbox event today and officially revealed there, and then people will be able to go get it on all the platforms from that point. But this is cool. I have always intended to go back to play S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Them putting together a trilogy and putting it out on consoles, that's a good idea. That'll give people a real chance to check it out.
Those games are very difficult to play in this day and age. Like getting them running can be tricky. As far as, I mean, I tried like a few years ago, and I remember it being a pain in the butt.
I think the Steam versions are in a better place since then, but I do remember that period. Yes.
I mean, even playing them, like going into this, please know that you're going in for like a curiosity of what games like back then, because they are rough to play in this day and age.
I think they are definitely and they inspired a lot of other games, a lot of other survival games, things like that. So they definitely have their place. And of course, S.T.A.L.K.E.R. 2 is supposedly coming out later this year, September 5th. This will set that up nicely. Finally here, Balatro sales have surpassed 500,000 copies sold. Very well done for a game that kind of came out of nowhere. It sold 250,000 copies in 3 days and then has sold another 250,000 copies since then, in about the week since then. So very good. And that's across all platforms and worldwide. All right. I'm going to get to the poll question. While I'm doing that, while I'm getting that set up, Tam, what do you have going on? Where can people find you on the internet? All that good stuff.
You can find me at Tamoor H everywhere. What do we have going on? I'm just working on a bunch of things right now, prepping for GDC, prepping for PAX, prepping for various other things. We're going to be doing a spot on this week. And then UPF is happening this Friday, obviously. Have we told everyone what we're doing?
I think we have, yes. So if you want to...
It is the old kart racer. We're going to be doing a real long Mario Kart session.
We're going to play every Grand Prix in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So Mario Kart Grand Prix. We're going to add up the scores across all of them and see who's going to win. And I believe it's Sean, Mike, Dan, and myself. So look out for that. Of course, you also don't want to miss Blight Club today. It is the introduction of a new season. You really are not going to want to miss Dan's reveal. Now, we know he's playing Superman 64. You're just not... I think you're going to want to see this. I haven't seen it, but like the way that he's talking about it, it's going to be good. So don't miss that. That's going to be at 2:30 p.m. Eastern today. Definitely show up for that. I also, I think it's at like in an hour from now. I might try to get it set up so we can talk over that Xbox thing. But I'm going to be piecing that together. So we'll see. We'll try to make that happen.
Wonderful.
And then last little thing here, someone pointed out a Princess Peach Showtime demo may be coming soon. So there's your last piece of news. All right, poll question. Have you played Ghost of Tsushima? This is relevant. 47% said no, 53% said yes. That's a pretty big number of people that are saying yes, but then also still, half those people are like, no, I haven't played it, so making it accessible on PC makes a lot of sense. But I guess I do forget sometimes. That game was very successful. It did really, really well.
Yeah. So, relatively speaking, budget not as high as most major Sony AAA games. And small team, very talented small team, putting out a banger.
Yep. Sucker Punch, one of the few studios that was able to avoid layoffs there recently when Sony had those layoffs, likely because of what you mentioned, already a very precision strike force of a team in terms of size and scale. All right, new poll question. Are you excited for MultiVersus to come back? Yes or no? Just give me your honest answer. There's a comment section if you want to elaborate on that, yes or no, like, a no because I never cared about this, or no because I already had my time with it. Feel free to do that, but yes or no, we will talk about that on Game Mess Mornings on Giant Bomb tomorrow. That's Thursday. Look out for that. Anything else that we should mention? Voicemail Dump Truck will happen tomorrow, all that good stuff. Yeah, just check out the site, giantbomb.com, everybody. Tamoor, thank you so much for spending today talking with me about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I have to quickly run to the toilet before I get into another meeting and speak at this meeting.
Do what you got to do. Until next time, everyone, have a good one. Take care of yourself. You're the best audience of gaming. Goodbye.
Man.